This video I'm going to explain the CAP theorem in very simple terms using a very simple example. Let's say we have a user Ankur who is trying to access the database on his system, right? And the database has just one table called employee table. The employee table looks something like this with like 4 columns and one record. Okay, so Ankur basically is trying to look for that record and also trying to experiment with the database, which is fine as long as the database is up. Ankur can do all sorts of things like perform the CRUD operations, but as soon as the database goes down, Ankur cannot access it. So it's a very simple setup, our regular day-to-day setup. Now let's make it a bit complex. Let's say Ankur can now access two systems, right? And both have the same employee table, and to start with just one record, okay, with the name Sam. Okay, so Ankur goes to database 1 and he can find Sam. Ankur can go to database 2 and find Sam. Now these two databases are also connected to each other via network connection. So when some change happens in database 1, it's propagated to database 2 and vice versa. The problem is if the network connection goes down between these two systems, then what happens? So Ankur can, for example, update database 1 with a new record, but that won't be propagated to database 2. Suppose Ankur added a new uh, record to database 1 with the name Sam, okay, or Sam is already there, let's say Jack, okay, but when Ankur goes to database 2, he cannot find Jack, right? But the database 2 is available to Ankur. Now, this is the problem of consistency. So, data is not consistent. Ankur is getting inconsistent information from the two systems, but the database is available at the same time. Now, this problem of network connection is referred to as partition tolerance. As you can see, when there is a partition tolerance or a network breakdown between the two systems, then you can either have consistent data or you can have available systems. So you have to choose between one of these things. You have to make that this trade-off, right? And this is what CAP theorem states. So CAP theorem states that along with partition tolerance, you can either have consistency or availability. Cannot have both at the same time. Now you can have different solutions to work around, but this gives you a useful way to make trade-offs and figure out solutions, especially when you have multiple nodes talking to each other. Okay, so I hope this gives you a high level view of what CAP theorem is about in very simple terms. Thank you.